One of the most common questions I get asked on all my platforms is, what do I do to stop the plateau? How do I maximize my climb such that I'm always climbing, eternally, perpetually? How do I optimize my build variation on Virkayu? How do I make sure that I'm doing the right thing all the time? Hello and welcome to another Jungle and League of Legends video. This one will be for basically everyone. And this week I've been in my very in-depth jungle bootcamp where we've talked with a lot of challenger minds, had Q&As, and really absorbed a lot of information regarding League of Legends and the jungle position. So I will give you all the best tips that you need for this optimization of your climb, and hopefully you can go away with a good framework to break your plateaus and make sure you are always playing to get that LP. As always, please consider leaving a like and of course subscribing if you enjoy the content and want more. And now without further hesitation, let's begin. Okay, so first up, the most common question that we had all week, me and Phylaris specifically, was build variation and optimization. While it is important to have a good mental approach to your rank and have a checklist about what to do, understanding what your champion does and what you want to accomplish with that is basically step one. You don't want to go into a ranked game and think, okay, I want to build Kraken Slayer. Oh, wait a second, I kind of want a Divine Sundry. You know what? Shadow Flame Virkayu. And I'm yelling, no, please don't do that. And the ultimate goal is there are statistical items that will just work better than others. There are some items that work just as well, but for a different playstyle. And if you go look at one tricks, even in high elo, the best players in the game, sometimes their itemization doesn't make a lot of sense and they just kind of do random things. The knowledge of the champions and what those items does on the champion means they can get away with it sometimes. Sometimes. It does not mean it is optimized, it does not mean it is the best. So when you look at other one tricks and people to emulate builds from, make sure you're still using your critical thinking skills. Make sure you understand what it means when you play the champion. If you want to go Kraken Slayer, Bork, Virkayu, you're going to be a lot more squishy than you have been if you've been building Shieldbow and Divine Sundra. And this breaks down into team composition as well. For example, Phylaris mentioned that he likes building Trinity Force a lot more now when there isn't a lot of CC on the enemy team, and because of the fighter itemization shifts, most champions are building a bit more squishy. There's a lot more enchanters around as well. This means you're not benefiting as much from the penetration passives as well as the percentage HP damage on Divine Sundra, where something like a Trinity Force can scale up your DPS and help you deal with those squishies. However, if they have a lot of CC and you're kind of stuck twirling your horse stick around in many directions, trying to stay alive as much as possible, then the healing component really comes into play. And then of course there's the jungle playstyle. Do you like Phase Rush? Do you like Conqueror? Do you like Predator? One of the best Hecarim players in the world still prefers Divine Sundra as a base with Conqueror as a base. FC Frost basically just said, no, I don't like the Camp Tank Hecarim build, it's useless, don't do it. I'm oversimplifying obviously, but you can get his thoughts directly from his channel. I will link content to all the people I'm mentioning below so you can check them out. They give a lot of good advice throughout the bootcamp. The point is, no matter what champion you're playing, Volibear included, Warwick included, anything that has itemization variance, it's important that you think about what you want to do with the champion and what makes the most sense in terms of actually itemizing them for the best way to win. Someone might tell you, listen, Divine Sundra Virkayu, you go that every game, and someone's like, well, you know, I kind of like the Kraken Slayer build. I'm a bit more of an assassin. I do so much damage. My healing is so good. I scale with crit. But the Divine Sundra player is like, well, you know, when I do that, I just go in and die. I don't really see the openings in those moments where I can maximize my DPS, and I just end up dying and getting squashed. So I prefer the sustainability and the HP from that more conservative build path. Obviously, we need to be the masters of adaptation. That is what we're good at. Junglers, every year something changes. Itemization, metas, reworks. Maybe they just straight up nerf and change our experience and spawn timers. We have to be able to adapt all the time. If we do not keep our fundamentals true and facing forward, you're gonna have a rough time. Now you're saying to me, wait a second, Virkayu, what are these fundamentals? What do you mean exactly? Well, fortunately for you, I did a full-on bootcamp with that talk and it was free day one, and that entire VOD is available on my Twitch channel. So if you want a 90-minute breakdown of these fundamentals and adaptation in terms of how it plays into your actual jungling, that's on my Twitch channel, go ahead and watch it. But optimization plays into the same kind of way. Being adaptable to the state of the game as well as the state of your champion is fundamental to making sure you do not plateau and you can maximize your climb. I'm not exactly giving you cut and dry examples because it's way too generalistic, broad stroke if you will. But hopefully with these questions that I've posed and the examples I've given you, you can take your particular champion, ask the same questions, go look at those high elo players you enjoy watching, question why they do that itemization, look at the data on the site, reconcile it with your own questions and playstyle, optimize your build path, go forth and conquer, or Predator, as you wish. Next up, we have something that was very common, talking about champion pools, and a lot of people saying, hey, you know what? I had 10% of my games ruined by a troll. 1 out of 10 games ruined by trolls and inters and feeders. How do I get through these issues? I must not succumb to the trolls, and I want to make sure that I can defeat them. And then you look at the match history and you go, well, sometimes you lose games. You cannot control it. You can try your best, but you simply don't win. And then what you see is a top 3 champions are all great champion pool. You know, good win rate, 60%, 58%, maybe a 65%. Everything is looking good. Good KDAs, good CS per minute. Everything looks nice. And this is a player who's played 1,000 games, so 600 games on these champions. And then you're like, well, what did you play for the other 400 games? And you see 2 games of Soraka, one game of Zyra jungle that you tried after you saw my video. That 2-week period where say Urgot or Morgana jungle were viable, yeah, you ran those champions for a couple games, 20, 30 games. Imagine if those remaining 400 games, where you maybe had like a 40% win rate total or even less sometimes, but we just played with your main champions. Imagine if you had the discipline to stick to your core champion pool, and if your champion in your champion pool gets nerfed, you did the proper ways to learn how to play a champion to bring a new one into it. For those videos, I have them. I will link them literally below. How to learn champions and optimize your champion pool such that if a champion you play gets gutted, removed, or deleted, you can slot in another one with ease without compromising your total ranked win rate. You need to have that discipline and the desire to truly reach your goals, and this is something NEACE and I discussed in our chat as well. If you really want that goal, if you really want gold, platinum, diamond, master, GM, if you really want to chase that, why are you spending 400 games not pursuing that? Why are you spending 400 games compromising the other 600 games that you put in? It's silly, it doesn't make sense. Maximize your climb. Don't compromise what's working. Now, some people have said, listen, I'm a tilt player. And some people came up and said, hey, look, I lost 40 games in a row. I went from D4 to platform. How did I lose 40 games in a row? We had other people say, you know what? I never like to end on a loss. Should I end on a win? Should I end on a loss? Should I end in a tie? That's a little LEC joke when they wanted to give us sets of 2 because Europe liked ties. I don't know what idiot thought of that, but this also happens for people who kind of play a lot of the game that, spend 100 games in 3 weeks, get burnt out and stop playing. And they're like, well, I got bored. I needed to do something else. I came back after 3-4 weeks break and now I'm bad again because I didn't maintain my skill set. For you people to optimize your climb, I give you the sets of 5. Again, like the previous point, you have to be disciplined. Do you really want these goals? Do you really want to achieve them, or are you just kind of lying to yourself? Because if you're lying to yourself, skip it, leave the section, it doesn't concern you. But if you really are truly serious about maximizing your climb and getting to those goals, you will only play the game in sets of 5. By that I mean you will play 5 games in one sitting. You will try to win 3 out of 5, but if you end up losing the first 3 in that set and you're like 0-3 in the set, you stop, you're done. You don't finish the set, it's over. You lost it, you finished. Likewise, if you win 3, you're 3-0, great, stop. Don't play the other 2. Why? Because you can just lose them. End on the high, end on the positivity, look at your VODs, what did you do well, why did you win these 3 games? In essence, remove the coin flip of your tilt, remove the coin flip of your emotions. If you have time to play 10 games in a day because you really want to improve, you really want to climb, then do so, but make sure that set of 5 is separate from the first set of 5, and in between you're practicing your clears, your combos, you're watching streamers, you're watching VODs, you're studying the game, you're not playing. Well, you're playing, but you're not really doing PvP. You could go into flex and try some more champions, have a bit of fun, but anything that can compromise your mental state, don't really go for it. The 4th point here is breaking this plateau, this typical way of playing, not only by doing the 60% games with your main champs, not only by doing the sets of 5 if you're a tilt player or someone who's really emotional about it. This is a short point because it's about deliberate practice. Everything I just said in the previous section requires deliberate practice. Every time you sit down to do it, it's like going to practice after school for your sports team. It's like going to chess club. It's like doing anything that you do in life as a hobby or something you take seriously. If you're going to sit down and play a single player game, most of us will sit down and play it. You're going to go to the movies, you sit down and you watch the movie. You're going to go study for your exams. Hopefully you're sitting down and you're studying for your exams. We are deliberately doing that activity. A lot of people who want to climb and spam a lot of games don't always deliberately play. They kind of just go through the motions. I guess I have some time, I can try and climb. And what happens in that case is you simply go on autopilot. You simply do not do the things you need to be doing in order to win. Those fundamentals you spend all that time practicing, they go out of the window because you're kind of just staring into the distance and playing. And while you just spent the time removing the coin flip from your 5 set, if you're playing a 5 set while bringing in a coin flip if you're just not paying attention, and essentially leaving it to your team to carry you basically if they win their lanes or not, that's not really how we want to jungle. It's not really how we play, and it's not how we maximize our climb. Make sure that the section of time that you dedicate to playing that set of 5 is very deliberate with the intention of making sure maximum focus is used, such that when the set of 5 is finished, you're actually kind of tired and you want a break. Engage yourselves. Finally, we had a big discussion, NEACE and I, as well as other people, when we talk about play to improve versus play to win. Now, yes, you should always play to improve, but if you're kind of limit testing all the time just to make a play and see if it works, that's great. Say in this case, you want to try tower diving, so I'm just going to practice tower diving and I don't care if I lose the game or not. That's also not so good because essentially what NEACE was saying is, well, playing to win is a skill as well. Because if you can try and do that while also trying to win, you're playing to improve while also trying to figure out how to actually win these games when 1, this works, and 2, maybe this doesn't work. Now, you should always queue up to play to improve and play to win, but you shouldn't queue up if you're not ready to lose. You have to accept that you might lose the game even if you tried your best. But the whole time you were trying to win and you were focusing on whatever actionable thing you had chosen to focus on for the day, whether it was invading, ganking a lot more, farming well, making sure you got all your dragons. And this kind of plays into the previous point as well as into this point, is that it can be very good when you want to maximize your climb and approach your mental in a good way to actually have something you're chasing, goals. What's wrong with your jungling? What are you struggling with? Make a list, prioritize what you think the biggest issues are, and really make a mental note to focus on that. Simply just kind of going into the game and studying too much material and thinking, okay, look, I need to make sure my clears are good. I want to invade, I want to gank a lot, I want to farm a lot, I want all the objectives, I want the Baron, I want to tower dive. You're trying to do too many things at once. There's too much noise in your head and you can't focus on one thing or the other. Make sure you are focusing on one thing, prioritizing it for your learning. Once you've added it to your database of, okay, I know what to do, go to the next thing on your list. And that way you're playing to improve, but you're also playing to win by removing the variables that can distract you from, of course, that goal to win. It also makes it very easy to have that deliberate practice and slot it into your set of 5 to do so with your main champions. And of course, if you've optimized and understand the build variation around your main champions, because you spend a bit of study time in between your set of 5 doing that, all of a sudden, all 5 of these things are ticked. You've adapted as per my bonus note, and now you are primed to maximize your climb. Because of the bootcamp, I didn't really have time to break down some gameplay and bring you some core tutorials, but I still wanted to give you these tips, these exercises that you can do to ensure that you're always working on climbing, you're always working to improve, and hopefully you're winning, having fun while doing it, and best of luck in Season 12 on reaching your goals. Let me know in the comments what those might be. I'll return next week back to our regularly scheduled content, hopefully something on Monday, so keep your eyes ready for that. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you did enjoy and learn something. Don't forget to keep your beards maximized as well, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.